Okay, let me make my screen full. Okay, I have a full screen now. Now, yesterday we stopped at mounting the Windows Server 2012 standard image, the standard core image, and we also added the features for the web server RS. Okay, now the next step we're going to be doing, I'm just going to minimize this. The next step we're going to be doing, we're going to deploy the Server 2012 now, the the standard edition of the core of Server 2012 with web services installed already. Now, the task we're going to be doing is to install the WDS server role. I think we've done that already. The WDS, have we installed that? Okay, the next step we're going to be doing is to configure the WDS. Then we're going to use the NTDS util to add a boot image. To add a boot image. Then we're going to add an install image as well. Then we'll configure the automatic naming process, and we're going to launch the Windows deployment services. So it's not really quite a very difficult task. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. So the next step we're going to do is to install the deployment services role. Okay, let me confirm if mine is already installed. WDS, I can see is already installed. So all I need to do is to go to Tools, and I scroll down Windows Deployment Services. Okay.
Should you also have that installed?
Yes. So have the WDS role installed. Doesn't take time. Okay, if I come to my servers, you will see my server is active. It says it's not yet configured. That is the icon, the yellow icon there you see. It says the server is not yet configured. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to right click and click on configure. That's what you should get when you finish installing the WDS server. So what I will do now is to right click on it, and I will say configure the server, because I'm having my server, this is actually my server 1, mcse.mce.local. So I'm going to right click, click on configure server. So that's the wizard. Of course, we're all familiar with the wizard. We're all familiar with the wizard. Okay. It gives us the following requirements in order for us to successfully deploy WDS, which includes Active Directory. Currently, our computer is an Active Directory domain. We currently have a PXE bootable network adapter. We have the services also installed, and we have an active DHCP server installed as well. So what we're going to do now, we're going to click on Next. Now, we all know the difference between these two. This option says integrate with Active Directory. The nice thing about this is that what will happen is that when we install the server, the client computer systems or the computers we're going to be installing, it will automatically add the computers to Active Directory. Are we together? Meaning the computers will be added to Active Directory as if we actually just joined them. So these are some of the nice things about it. If we say a standalone server, then it will just be operating independently of Active Directory. Are you getting me? So its job is just to install the client computer, that's it. It has no strings attached. But if we're taking this option, then the server will now allow you to integrate your installation also in Active Directory. So if I'm adding client computers, like let's say 50 computers, it makes it much easier for me to join all the computers at the same time with my server. So it gives me a more flexible way, makes my installation even much faster. So all I need to do is to go to the Active Directory, create a group, or probably organizational unit, and load all the computers to that particular unit as well. So even though I have group policy already assigned, it's effective immediately. So I'll click on next. And you guys all remember that when we want to do the installation of WDS, it always asks us for a location and a folder URL. Is that not correct? So in this case, on our practicals, we're going to be storing all the images, because the images have to be stored in one place where they will be loaded from by the WDS. We call it remote install. So we're going to be using Drive E according to our lab practicals. It said we should store all image in Drive E. So I'm going to go to Browse. I'm going to go to Computer. I'm going to press E. I'm going to say OK. So my E drive remote folder as the default will be where to be stored. So we don't have a remote folder, so what we need to do is to go to our computer. We'll go to Drive E, and we come to right click, we'll say new folder, and we'll type remote install. I'll minimize. I'll go back to Browse, Computer, E, and I'll select Remote Install. So that's what we're asked to do. So we'll click on Next. Okay, it says do not listen to DHCP server or DHCP version 6. Configure the DHCP version for proxy. We're just going to do not listen to the DHCP server. We want to uncheck that. We want them to listen to the DHCP server. Configure DHCP options for proxy. We don't want that. So we'll click on Next. Now we all know the PXE response settings, right? Like we said the last time, if we take these options, it's as good as not even installing the DHCP server, right? Or probably you're just doing it, but you want to use it later on. Next option, respond to only clients that are known, meaning this computer should already be pre-staged on Active Directory. Then the last option is to use authorization, especially if you're not so familiar with the computers. Maybe these are new computers from the manufacturer. You just need to load them without, they don't have operating system. So with this, you need to authorize all computers, which is more advisable. So we'll click on Check Required Administrator Approval. Okay, we'll click on Next now. Okay, it's configuring of the files necessary for the service to start. So we'll just give it a while. Of course, it will also go through your prerequisites and your configuration. Okay, and it says the service did not respond or control requests on timely fashion. It's fine. We'll click Finish. And you'll notice there you see something like a circle there, like a stop sign. Just refresh it. Let's see. We'll click on Start. We'll go to All Tasks, then we'll say Start. So it's trying to start the WDS services. Okay, it says it started successfully. So in case some of you see the stop sign here, all you need to do is to right click, and you go to All Tasks, and you say Start. Okay, the first step we need to do is to add a boot image. The first step we need to do is to add a boot image. So we'll come to the boot image. We'll right click and says add boot image. We'll click on browse. Of course, we'll go to our sources folder, which is in drive D. Remember your ISO image. We'll go to the sources folder and we go to boot.win and we'll click on open. We'll click next. You can give it an image name. Let's say Win Server 2012 STD standard core. Or just leave it standard. Just leave it standard. It's fine. So that's the name of the image. We'll click on next. Okay, so that's the name. It's going to store it on, that's the image file from where it's coming from. We'll click next. So it's adding the image now. We'll just give it a while. We'll add the image. Are you all there? Okay, so we'll click on finish. Now the next step we need to do is to add the install image. So what we're going to do is to come to install image. Now for best practice, we did advise that it's better to create groups of images you're doing. Is that not correct? It's good to create groups, especially if you're installing clients and if you're installing clients and the Windows operating the Windows Server system. You want to split them. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click now and say add and install image. You will notice it comes up with a wizard with image group. You see, because of best practice. So what we're going to do, we're going to say this is our Windows Server SRV 2012. So all the images for our Server 2012 will be put on this folder, on this image group. So I'll just type that name there. I'll click on next. And it's asking where's the folder location of the image you want to add. Now you guys remember we mounted the image on the map drive Z. So let's go there. So we'll go to browse. We go to the Z drive. We go to custom images. That's it there. We say install.win and we click on open. So after we're done with that, we'll click on next. Now we are looking for just one image. And what's that image? You can expand this. You can actually just push this a little bit further so that you can see clearly. We're actually looking for the standard core. Is that not correct? So what we're going to do, we're going to uncheck this. We're going to uncheck this. We're going to uncheck this. So we're going to go with what? The server standard core. Is that not correct? Because that's the one we edited in desk 1, right? Okay. Use default description. It's fine. We'll click next. Standard core. And we'll click next again. So it's going to add the image of server 2012 to the WDS server. So we'll just give it a while, depending on your performance on your computer. Please, let's have one class. Okay, it's finished. But you see, guys, remember, there's a problem here. It says we don't have enough disk. Remember, we only created 4 gig, right, of our storage. That's the only partition. Okay, so there's an error here. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to click on finish now. And we don't have an image here, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to browse, I'm going to go to our computer. We don't have enough storage here, right? And we have to put it in a drive. So what I'm going to do, we're going to create another drive. Let's go to computer, go to manage, go to server manager, tools, computer management. So let's partition another drive so that, because we didn't put enough space. So okay. Okay, we don't have enough space here. So what we're going to do, let's just partition another one. Not going to take long. Let's take another 5,000. So right click, simple volume, next, next. You can leave it as default G, is fine. Next. So we'll just call it install image. Give you the name install image, huh? Install images, huh? You click next. Okay, next, and click finish. Okay, drive G, it's ready. So let's go back again to WDS. We'll right click now and says add install image on the group. Because if you come here, let me exit this. If you come to the install image folder itself, it will also bring up the group as well, huh? Whichever way you do it. So we'll click next, browse. Just to confirm, we're on the drive Z, custom image. We'll click next. We know the first one is what we're looking for, so we just uncheck the rest. Accept default description. Next. So it's going to add now. Just a minute, sorry. Sorry for that. We were supposed to change the location of the remote install. So let's go back to drive G. Right click and says new folder and say remote install. Okay. I think remote install is one word. It's one word, right?
Yes.
It's one word, okay. So now we'll go back to the WDS server. We'll go back to the WDS server. Come to the WDS services, right click. Sorry, go to this WDS server, right click, and go to property. Now when you come to property, you'll notice there it's showing the general tab where your storage is stored. Did you see it there? Huh? This is your network location, your DHCP server. Do not listen to the WDS ports. Come to the client response. Go to the boot. It says require username to press, user required to press F12 to continue the boot. Go to the x86 architecture for the default boot image. Click select. Select the boot image.win. And click OK. Active Directory, just leave it by default. PXE response required to administer the administrator approval. Obtain IP address from DHCP server. Can you go to multicast? Obtain IP addresses from DHCP server. Network, it's fine. Advanced, it's okay. Click apply and click on OK. Just waiting for it to finish. Is yours also saying the same, not responding? Okay, I think mine is, maybe it's my computer. Okay, in the meantime, I want us to do this. Go back to computer, go to install.wim, image drive E, go to images, go to custom images, right click on the install.wim, click cut, then go back to computer, go to install image G and paste it there. So I'll just minimize my screen. So that we can free the space, because the default space, the default we've taken is E, so we just move the file. The changes are still be done there, so it doesn't matter. So you can, if you have moved your file, you can go ahead and add the installed image, then you prepare for deployment. Just waiting for my settings to be done. Okay. Just waiting for this to be done. Okay, if you go back now, you see we have a free space there now, right? Okay. So let's go back now. Add install image. Browse. We'll now go to drive G. Select install.wim. We'll click next. Of course, it's the first one we're taking. We'll click next and next again. So it will add the image now. So remember, our plan is to install this image on the blank server core virtual machine we created earlier on, right? Remember, I told you to make sure the network adapter is the first boot. Yeah, so to boot from the network, because it will be issued an IP address by the DHCP server. Okay, let's wait for that to finish. Let me close this. Okay, it was done successfully. We click on finish. So we can come to pending device just to monitor which one is loading. So now what we're going to do now, we're going to start up our virtual machine now. Let me go to the virtual machine manager. So I'm going to come to my server core. Go to settings. I'm going to make sure my network card it's there on the boot sequence. My network card is the first boot, huh? Okay. So let's go back to the server system. Now, if we go back to the property of the server, we did select on the boot to require the user to press F12 to continue, right? So what I want us to do, just say always continue with the boot. Just select that, just in case it also requires you to do that. You can also come here and select that option, but it's fine. Apply.
Now you only did it on the second part. What was the first part?
The first part it's for non-client computers. It's for known. This one is for known. The first one is for known. This one is for known. Of course, what we're trying to install, we don't know the computer yet. You're getting me? Yeah, it's a blank machine. We don't even have the IP address. We don't have the MAC address. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go now and start the virtual machine. Okay, I think it's on. So I'll start the virtual machine now. Why is it not talking to the server core? Why is it not talking to the it's supposed to talk to the okay, it's contacting the DHCP server now. Okay, let's just give it a while. The last time we used the internal adapter, right? So it's supposed to. No, it's working. It's working now. Yeah. Okay. So now it's waiting for authorization. So let me go to my virtual machine and authorize it. So if I come to pending device, let me refresh. You can see it there, right? So I'm going to right click now. I'm going to say approve. Or name and what? Approve. Or reject if I don't know who this person is. So what I'm going to do, I can either name the computer and approve it, or I can just say approve. Are we together? So I'll click approve. Just give it a while. Because my hard drive is quite low, so the performance of my server will tear down a little bit. So I'll just minimize this, and once it's done, it will automatically load. So it's waiting for its approval. So once the approval is done, It will load immediately. You can see it. Huh? Can you see the TFT download now? It's downloading the boot image. Huh? Okay. The boot image will come up now and it will start installing the operating system. So it's downloading the boot image. Okay, so that's our installation beginning, and Windows will be installing. So I'm just waiting for it to get. It's going to come up with the. The WDS interface, where we'll need to authorize the installation with. Remember, you need an administrator approval, right, for the installed image to be pulled down into the computer system. So after this has boot up, the next step is for the approval of the administrator. So we should just leave it a while. It's going to come up and the installation will begin. So once it's installed, our computer or this server core will have the Windows Standard Edition core. The core version will be installed. Okay, it's coming up now. So we'll just give it a while. Give it a while. So setup is starting up. So that is how to deploy your Windows operating system on the network. Remember, we're using a virtual machine for this example. The same way it's working here is the same way to work on a physical network, where you have your switch and your network cables linked together. So let's just give it a while. It's going to be finished now. And okay, that's Windows deployment services. So we're going to take the default language, English, United States, keyboard US. We click next. Okay, so that is where the administrator comes in. Then I put my password as the administrator, and I'll click OK. An error content, blah blah blah. The name is not correct. So I'm going to type my domain name. My domain name is mce.local / administrator. Administrator, yeah. Okay. Administrator. Then I'm going to put the password. And and that's it. We take the defaults, and that's it. So all we just need to do is to wait for the installation to finish, and bingo, the server will be installed. When it's finished installing, you restart the computer, you will have the server core installed with the web services. Now, if you notice, what we're going to be proving is that we're going to try to use the IP address of our GUI interface server, the enterprise. We're going to try to go to the web server by using the IP address. You'll notice it's not going to show up. Then we're going to use the IP address of the server core, and you'll notice the web services will show up. That is to confirm that the web services was indeed installed when we did the installation. So that will be our next proof to confirm that everything went successfully.